Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the Twitter handle, and I'm joined today by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay. You'll know him from the Celtic, the Thunder. I'll call him the Thunderhead before I call him the Dunderhead. But there you go. That comes later, young man. Term of affection, as you say. And I'm also joined, and it pains me greatly to say this, pains me in my heart to say I'm joined by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW. I think it was Chris Christopherson that wrote a song with the likes for the last time or for the good time, Sean. So there you go, check it out. Another Celtic Dad reference. But for the last time, I'll be joined by Sean Martin. I'll big you up, Sean. Marvelous. How are you? Are you holding it together?
Just about, man. Just about at the start. Anyway, we'll see 45 minutes from now, Tony.
Yes, indeed, we'll see that. Ryan, emotional day all round for everybody concerned. But hey, well, morning, fellow Tims, and morning, Legend Kaiser. Morning, everybody. Thank you very much for your good morning wishes. We really appreciate it. We do every day. Kirsty, thanks for that. Derek, cheers. You know who you are. Give you all a shout out. Tam Mac Helen. There we go. Now, first things first, somebody's won the ticket, Sean, but we don't know who yet, do we? Or do we?
No, the draw I think has been made, but we've not been informed who won it yet. We don't do that through just any sort of, in case there's any sort of misdemeanour going there.
Family members and all that kind of stuff, yep. Indeed, there you go. Now,
there was about 50 entries from Mr. Ryan McGinlay, though. I saw that, but
yeah, right. Yeah. I thought Ian McDonald as well, because he's usually unsuccessful in ballots. He's not got I think he's got 100% record in ballots. Ryan played 3, won none, drawn none, lost. But hey, that's what happens. Anyway,
consistency.
Go on, Ryan. Sorry.
Consistency, even if it's bad consistency.
Aye, consistent indeed.
Tony, on the subject of the tickets, Tony Kirsty says it's definitely a sad day. We all say a massive cheers to our Sean and wish him all the very best in his future endeavours. However, if I've not won the tickets, we can beat it.
Yeah, was it Mr. Boyle, the former Motherwell chairman, said one day you're a peacock, next day you're a feather duster. There you have it. I think
probably feel like one tomorrow, Tony.
Famous sayings, yes, indeed. I guess. Now, as we say every morning, we direct you to the ticker tape running along the bottom, and we ask you to subscribe to the Celtic Way, support top quality football journalism, covering the club you love. Come on, join us. Magic wee community that we've got here, great Celtic community. Sean will vouch for that. Ryan, you'll get to know it. It's all for a click of a button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Lots of love coming in for Sean. I expect that all podcast. You know the score. Top man. Thank you for everybody. Very humbled by it. And we also say thank you to SENECA. As everybody knows, SENECA, the Celtic Way morning briefing, is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. SENECA are the number one hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. Now, gentlemen, to business. A small matter of association football taking place down Mount Florida Way in the Mount Florida Bowl on Sunday. Celtic and Rangers go head-to-head, Scottish Cup semi-final. And if we're going to set the scene, Ryan, Celtic have got the upper hand at this minute in time. That's marvellous. 3 wins and a draw in the 4 meetings this season. We'll just take it from the top. Celtic won 4-0 in the first Premiership meeting back in September. They drew 2-2 at Ibrox in the New Year meeting. Celtic won the League Cup in February 2-1 at Hampden, and Celtic won the recent league match 3-2. Form goes out the window in these games, Ryan, as they tell you. But, are we sticking to that? The form could dictate what happens in this one?
Well, I mean, I hope so, because our form's been pretty imperious all season, you would say. Even against Rangers, you say that we're unbeaten in 4 against them. If it comes down to form, then I'm sure we'll be all right against them. These games, all the cliches, form goes out the window. These games take care of themselves. I'm just hoping that if Celtic turn up, as Sean said the other day, if Celtic turn up, then we should win the game. But we know that it doesn't always work out like that. But yeah, fingers crossed we get the job done on Sunday.
Sean, you're leaving us with some nuggets and pearls of wisdom for this game, and that we can say, hang with that, and this young man on you go then.
Of course, no, I was just going to say, you say form goes out the window. I think it was Alison that said on one of these before, it doesn't really. Usually the form team does come out top. Head to head under Ange so far, Celtic have won 5, drawn 2, lost 2, scored 18, lost for the concession of just 10. So Celtic are the form team, not even just this season, but since Ange Postecoglou took over. At Hampden, they've only won 1 apiece. Obviously, Rangers after extra time, Celtic in the League Cup final. But even when we're talking about form, getting into this domestically, for all the talk before last weekend was that, or the weekend before, that Michael Beale had matched Celtic step for step. He just hadn't closed the gap, or he had, but not in any actual tangible way, all that kind of stuff. Celtic have drawn 1 game of 18 domestically, and that was at the weekend to Motherwell, so it wasn't even with Rangers. 1 clean sheet in the last 5, right enough, which I'll come back to. Rangers have lost 2 of their last 3. So there is one team in form here, and it's not Rangers. They've also kept only 1 clean sheet in the last 5. So maybe when you come to the score predictions later on, I'll be able to tell you. I'll be taking goals.
Yeah, there you go. Ryan, I gave him the floor. What's the first thing he did? Turn to the stats. Stats man. He's a stats man. Your man there. Love it. Love it. Love it, Sean. Now, we speak about form and all that, but we also talk about the kind of enormity of the occasion, Sean. Mm-hmm. There is a lot at stake for both teams, but Celtic in particular, you've been banging on about this since you wrote it in the newsletter, chasing records, chasing rainbows, all that kind of stuff, but kind of brought it to a lot of people's attention. But an 8th domestic treble, Sean, it would say something for this group of players under this manager, if they could go and achieve that and take a step closer to achieving that. It's not a given that if they win this game that they're going to roll over Inverness or Falkirk in the final, but I think it's fair to say you'd be pretty confident of winning the trophy if you can get through this stage, wouldn't you?
Aye, and I don't think that is meant as a disservice to Falkirk or Cardiff, because I think the reality of the situation just is that they're in 1 and 2, respectively, divisions below Celtic. So no matter who wins this tie, it's between Celtic and Rangers, does not have an excuse not to win the final.
Yes.
But in terms of, obviously, with Rangers, it is season defining for them because they need to win the Scottish Cup to have any sort of tangible return from this season at all. For Celtic, it's what I was saying in that newsletter you referenced. It's not necessarily a race with Rangers. It's a race with themselves. It's a race with history. It's a race with the records of past teams and setting a new record. I know the goals record in the league and all that could still be done, but an 8th treble would be added. Remember, was it before the League Cup final when Ange Postecoglou says about standing on the shoulders of teams that have gone before them and all that? Well, and Ryan referenced the Hampden kind of thing in his newsletter the other day. This can solidify Ange Postecoglou in this group as bona fide Celtic greats. Now they're already really popular, massively popular, probably one of the most popular managers Celtic have ever had, to be honest. But to actually solidify them in the club history, and not just the folklore, but in the actual written records, to win the 8th domestic treble, which is the most in history for any club, and puts them 1 ahead of Rangers into the bargain, or 1 ahead of their rivals into the bargain. It would just solidify it. It would be outstanding. So there is different things. It's important for both of them, but I think it's for historically different reasons. One's to save a season, one's to make history.
Ryan, you concur?
I certainly do. Even just listening to Sean there, I was getting excited listening to that. It's all about making another chapter in this dynasty that's happened over the last 10 years. This is an absolute dynasty. I don't think the media talks enough about how dominant Celtic have been over the last 10 years and the last 5-6 years specifically. You think about the amount of trebles that we've won. To accumulate this amount of trophies is incredible, and I think it should get talked about more because it's incredible what Celtic are doing just now. The fact that we're on the cusp of 8 trebles is absolutely unbelievable, and I hope we can finish the job starting on Sunday. If we do, then I think Ange will already be going down as a Celtic great and a Celtic legend. Depends what term you want to use for him, but he's got the support of the fans, and then he'd have all the trophies to back it up. So I would be all for calling him from now on.
I'm glad you're listening to Sean Ryan. That's the shoes you're filling, eh? Big shoes.
Absolutely.
Hey, but there you go. I'm sure you
I don't know,
can.
man. They're only a size 8, size 9, Tony. It's not that bad, but
Size 8, 9. Fair enough.
Well,
I'm
we're
a 7,
talking about.
so
Sorry, say again.
I'm a 7, so I can't even fit into them.
Oh, there we go.
I'm
Tony,
a-
while we're talking about,
Right.
what the history and all that could be, it's going to be one of those things that Ange is guaranteed to say again. There's some variation of the form. It's one game at a time and all that. He loves saying that. But what he actually said in the run up to it, right, is that just that both teams know the consequences of not being successful. It'll have everything that you normally expect from a cup semi. He's looking forward to it. This time of year, they're all big games. You want to be involved. You don't want to be sitting at the house, all that kind of thing. But what he said, and Tony, you may or may not have referenced this in your upcoming preview that's coming out tomorrow, and it's for the newsletter tonight. He said they don't need extra motivation for Sunday. It's always there every game. We want to try and be the team that they aspire to be. And I just think that's kind of classic as Postecoglou, that, eh? And in any case, it's true.
I love that when he was asked one of the times, and I have referenced it because I've took the actual quotes he said that Sunday's not about revenge for last season, Ryan, losing at the same stage. The words revenge don't enter his vocabulary or his lexicon. He's not wired like that, he says, which I love. I love that. So last season will have no bearing on what happened this season. Yeah, you can store it up, you can remember it, and you can say, I don't want to feel like that again. But it's certainly not uppermost, and it's not going to be burning in his mind or the player's mind. You focus on the job at hand. And I love that about him. That, he even mentioned, I think he even mentioned the word hate in those quotes, didn't he? And he just said he didn't get it. It was about being successful, as Sean said there. And if you're successful, it follows you will win trophies. End of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's more stuff when he talks about revenge and stuff, or he doesn't talk about revenge. It's more for the fans to talk about rather than him and the players up installed to think about. This is only the next game. It's always about the next game coming ahead. They don't look in the past; they look to the future, and that's just a great way to be.
I totally agree with that, Sean.
I agree with it as well. And listen, I remember after the very first derby game that I done for the website, which was obviously the 1-0 loss in Postecoglou's first derby. I remember after that, I wrote a piece and I quoted Billy McNeil, who was talking, I think it was from his autobiography, was talking about Jock Stein, right? And he said that when they finally started beating Rangers in his day, it dismantled a psychological barrier that Jock Stein was often quoted that saying that playing Rangers was just another game, but in Billy McNeil's mind it was nonsense. He knew that no game was more important to Jock Stein because he believed that they were a continual proving ground, right? Now, to me, that sounds a lot like Postecoglou's attitude to it all, doesn't it? And I'd argue that there still is a psychological barrier that exists, but right now it exists in Govan and in Michael Beale, and I don't think they look ready to dismantle it. But of course, it's a one-off cup tie, so Postecoglou will be quite right and is quite right to say that there's no extra motivation should be needed. But what I will say is it's there in the stands should they want to use it regardless, and it's there in the history books as well.
Of course, in history tells you there's always kind of someone on top or dominant in these kind of fixtures. And at this moment in time, your eyes also tell you that Celtic are the better team with the better players. And it's no surprise, Ryan, that they've got this record against Rangers this season. And the way the players are playing, you just don't see it. I think Sean's right. There's a real kind of major mental and psychological barrier that Rangers are going to have to overcome on Sunday. And even we've touched upon it yesterday, and we'll touch upon it just now. I'm just talking about when the Celtic lineup. You look up and you see the likes of maybe Jota back, Hatate back. Your shoulders could slump, because these are match-winning, game-changing players. And then allied to the fact that it might be a bad on the bench, Barisic will still be looking around to see where he is, even if he's on the bench. That kind of thing. These are things that get in your head. Don't care what you're human, but they can play tricks with the mind. And I think Celtic are in a good position. All that with that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win the game, but I think they're in the as good as it gets heading into a Hampden semi-final, on the cusp of trying to create a bit of history, and you just go there, and if you actually turn up and play as you said earlier, then there's every chance you can be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think psychologically we are in a better place than Rangers. Even I'd say that in terms of both teams and in terms of the fans, you hear some Rangers fans on social media, they're absolutely dreading this game. And Celtic are the big dogs in the league. They should be dreading this. That we are the benchmark in the league, and they should be dreading it when it comes to Sunday. You even look at when the team lines are announced. It's all doom and gloom when Rangers announce their team, and with Celtic, it's fine. We just know that these guys can do a job. These guys are proven at the end of the day. They've done it all season. So there's this confidence that comes from both the team and the fans, and it's a great synergy between the two.
I also think it's not arrogance or cockiness, Sean. It's just based on what you've seen all season in the matchups between the two clubs.
Aye, there's no. That's what I mean. There's no whether you think, and I've seen Brown Warrior comment, and I agree with it. The barometer to how good Celtic are doing is maybe no longer the performances against Rangers, but in Europe, which I agree with, and I think Ange Postecoglou would probably agree with. There's still a place for it. It's still a better gauge than the rest of the domestic scene. So, especially when it comes to a semi-final where one win takes you into the final, you're 1 win away from history, or indeed if Rangers were to win it, they'd be one win away from making something of their season. It is still a barometer. It is still a gauge, and as I say, Ange Postecoglou will say some variation of that. It's just another game, or it's one game at a time, or whatever. He'll say something along those lines, but fundamentally, it's still winner take all, and it's still a derby, so it is slightly different to the rest of them.
And Ryan, I don't think that Celtic needed any kind of reality check, but last week's draw against Motherwell, probably in hindsight, never a great thing, but just a wee stark reminder that when you don't turn up and play your football, that's what can happen. And I fully expect to see a Celtic come out the traps to try and make up for the fact that they didn't win that game last week. So, in hindsight, it might not be the worst thing that's happened to them, because they could have gone in with that kind of arrogant, cocky attitude that they just need to turn up. No, they don't need. They need to turn up when they need to compete and they need to play and earn the right to win that football match. So, I think in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't the end of the world what happened last week.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that, and I would say that it's good that we had our wobble last week instead of potentially this week. If I could choose one week to have it, then it would have been last week. And even still, we actually gained a lead, or we extended our lead at the top as well due to fixtures going our way the other way. So it was ideal. It might be a good reality check that we didn't play at our usual standards, but I'm sure Ange would be at them all week saying, right, you've got to play to your usual standards in this game. You'll know about the importance of the fixture, about the importance of the cup tie. And I think we'll see a Celtic team with a point to prove on Sunday. Maybe not just to everybody else, but to themselves, because they didn't meet the standards last week, but I'm sure they will this week.
Sean, we always bang about the two boxes, result and performance. You got neither last week, which will have upset him greatly, wouldn't it? Because if he gets one or the other, then he can live with that. But if he gets neither, which he got last week, he'll have been like a bear with a sore head, I would have thought.
He wouldn't have been happy with that. I was actually curious to read his post-match or listen to his post-match last week, because you never know. Sometimes it's sometimes they play fairly well, or they don't play well, but they win, and he comes out and he's a wee bit down about it. Sometimes they don't win, but he's quite positive because of the way that they try to approach the game and all that. So I was quite curious to read it last week, given that this game was the next one as well. I suppose we'll see what he says the day as well. In the run up to Sunday. But Jason Lee reckons we're heading for a penalty shootout. He can feel it. Hopefully not. I don't know if your nerves will take it, Tony, will they?
No, but I'm a captive audience, so I'll not be able to do anything, will I? Whereas if I'd have been in the house, I might be a bit more animated, as they say. But when you're at the football, you're a bit more sedate, aren't you? Although I've sat beside you, Sean, at two finals, and you can vouch for that. I kind of I twitch and get a bit like that.
But you've got to. Thing is, just for everybody that's not sure, in the press box and all that, there's hundreds of people in it, right? There's plenty of people. And when we're together and it's been a Celtic game or whatever, it's more of a kind of nudge kind of thing.
It's that kind of behaviour. The elbow is always a. But there you go. Indeed. Now, without giving away too much of predicted 11s, Sean and Ryan. But what's your thoughts on Sunday? Quandaries, headaches, selection dilemmas. I mean, are you putting Hatate straight in if he proves his fitness? Are you bringing Jota straight back in? Those are the two big names. Does Abada come in from the cold, bearing in mind his goal-scoring record and prowess against Rangers? I mean,
I think Abada's on the bench. Abada's on the bench, but the Hatate one's the one for me. That my predicted 11 is going to wait until I hear what Postecoglou says specifically about Hatate. I think Jota's going to be in. Charlie McGarvey, if Jota's able to go to the Brazen Head, he's ready for anything.
No, correct, Charlie. Jota on the drink. So I think if he's been bedding a couple of days before it, he's fine to play, isn't he? So
water and lime, I'm sure it was, Ryan. Water and lime. But,
absolutely.
But he's. I think he'll be in. I think he will be in. Especially if he's been out about best, which you can get about even if you're not fit. But if he is ready, I don't see anything other than Jota, Kyogo, Maeda as a front three.
Yep.
Abada to come off the bench, maybe Harshan Haksabanovic, but him to come off the bench as well. But for me, it's midfield because I think we've established Carter Vickers is going to play in defence, and I think that was the only question mark, just in case any of those reports. And he did look sluggish against Motherwell, but I think he'll play. So realistically, it's just midfield for me. It's just whether Hatate comes back. I suppose one of you might think maybe it should be Moy over O'Reilly still. I don't know, but I'm going to go O'Reilly's played his way back in. He's come to the fore. So I think it becomes for me O'Reilly, McGregor, or McGregor, O'Reilly, and another.
Yep.
And unfortunately, again, I've said this a few times, and I don't mean it as disrespect to him, but David Turnbull doesn't really come into my thinking here again. So I would think if Hatate is fit, it's a question of do you want like 60 minutes off him or half an hour of him, like that kind of thing. And then beyond that, if he's not starting, is it Moy or Iwata is the question. He opted for Moy the last time, even though I don't think he looked ready when he was on. He had one of his worst opening 15 minutes in a Celtic jersey. He should be ready this time, but Iwata's been given no minutes in the run-up, so by any gauge, it could be him as well. I don't know. I don't know.
It's like a coin. Ryan, where do you stand on all of that? You know where I stand. I said that I thought that the directive for Hatate was to get himself fit for Hampden on Sunday. So no real spoiler alerts. Hatate will be in my team for Sunday. He will get that 65 minutes and probably agreeing with Danny about that 3 in the midfield. That's no slight on Iwata because I thought Iwata's done really well in the appearances that he's made. And if it is Iwata, O'Reilly and McGregor, I won't have any qualms about that either. But I think the whole point in wrapping Hatate and cotton wool and just not giving them game time was a directive from the manager. Could be wrong, but been wrong before. Not often, but wrong before. And just sort of say, get yourself fit for this game. And I think he'll have proved his fitness this week, and he will start. My thoughts.
So I think because Iwata started the last 2 games, I think he's got to play. I'll also judge him on the fact that of his good performances in the home game and at the game at Hampden last time out. He calmed down both games when he came on. I think Ange has been prepping him. He knows how good a player he is. He's had him at Yokohama before. He knows how good he is. He knows that he can trust him. And now I think the fitness is there. He's ready to start in this game. I think in terms of Hatate, I would bring him on in the last half hour when other bodies are tired around him. That means that the fitness won't be as much of a factor and he can sort of run the game as he usually does. And then with O'Reilly, I think with O'Reilly we're on the cusp of a great performance, that breakout performance. Some of the performances that he was putting in when he signed last season, I feel like he's slowly but surely getting back into that sort of rhythm. You see he's influencing games more. I thought he had a decent first half against Motherwell. He had a great game against Kilmarnock. So I think if we persevere with O'Reilly, he's going to put in a masterclass. At least that's what I hope.
We like a masterclass, don't we, Sean?
Yep, and Chilpall thinks it's an Ange curveball coming.
In what
Which
way?
You can never rule out. But
yeah, of course, I suppose. Well, I think we've all... You're non-committal at this minute till you hear Ange, aren't you, Sean?
I mean, I said the other day that I was thinking that if he said he's been training all week and then he says anything along the lines of he's been training really well or whatever, on Friday, then I would put Hatate in. But I'm still swithering. So
yeah. So well, there you
It's
go.
great. It's great options either way.
Yeah,
That's the great thing. It's not as if the team gets
you couldn't do any shape at all.
weaker. There's so much strength and depth now. We really are in a good place with regards to the squad.
Now, on the subject of the game, on the website today, there's Alan Morrison's written a column, Sean, hasn't he?
Has, and touches on quite a few of the things that we said there, aye. But
yeah, and your old dad got an interview up with Eric Sviatchenko, who spoke about scoring against Rangers in the Scottish Cup at Hampden, despite the fact that Celtic lost. But he spoke about another things, didn't he?
I've put the link into Alan's thing. He kind of basically systematically tackles what he feels are the main 5 conundrums Celtic wise ahead of the game. And as Tony said there, he spoke to a certain invincible Mr. Sviatchenko about a goal against Rangers, but it is the fact that it's a goal and a defeat against Rangers and how it changed everything for him, didn't it?
Yeah, and he's very affable chap, is Mr. Sviatchenko. He answered the phone I was telling you boys the other day with, "Good morning, Tony. How are you on this fine morning?" I was like, I think I spoke to him twice in my life, but a wonderful fella and very amenable to doing stuff, and spoke away greatly about his time at Celtic. He's now with Houston Dynamo, living the life over in America and enjoying himself. So yeah, have a wee read at that. You'll enjoy it. He's good value whenever I've spoken. Alan Morrison's always good value, so check that out as well. Excellent stuff on there.
On the subject of Alan's thing, Charlie says, read an opinion this morning that Tomoki Iwata doesn't give as much creativity as the other midfielders. What's your thoughts? Well, it's true because he's a more defensive-minded midfielder by nature, but Alan touched on this as one of his conundrums when he's talking about midfield configurations, and he says that not that it's insurmountable, but if it's McGregor, Iwata, O'Reilly, then rather than say McGregor, Moy, O'Reilly, or McGregor, Hatate, O'Reilly, then it overwhelmingly puts the creative burden on O'Reilly, to a almost sole extent. And that's just something to think about. Not that it won't work, just that it's something to think about. And he might even prefer having Iwata in there, given playing against Rangers is more like a European game than another domestic game. So I'm not saying it won't work, but in relation to Charlie's comment, Alan mentions that yeah, O'Reilly would have to bear the massive brunt of basically all the midfield creativity if it's McGregor, Iwata, O'Reilly, Tony.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that to an extent. I think Iwata is, as you say, more of a deep lying midfielder, but that's not to say that he can't be creative. I've seen him break the lines and run into the box and stuff, and try and link up with players. So I don't have any qualms, regardless if Iwata starts or not. I think I just prefer Hatate to start. Maybe it's a heart rule in the head on that one. But as I say, I like Iwata. I like what he's brought to the table so far. So, and as Ryan said there, these changes that can be made, it doesn't weaken the team in any shape or form. So I'm all for that. But I would just feel a wee bit more confident, and I think it would be a bold statement by Ange to put Hatate back in and saying to the opposition, he's my man. I trust this guy. You know, he set up the winner the last time we were here. I've got every confidence that he can do that again. It's up to you to try and stop him, type thing, you know. So,
Paul Dyke coming in saying Ange will just say everyone is in the squad, and Lippy33 saying, yeah, you won't get any useful info out of Ange before the game. I'm not sure that's true, Tony. I see where they're coming from, but it was only last week, was it, that he said Carter Vickers, no, he's fine, he'll play. And we're predicted Alvin's right, need to change it then. It's not going to be Starfield Kobayashi. So it's not always the case that he plays it coy. Sometimes he just outright tells you. Whether he'll do that today or not, I don't know. But I don't think it's always the case that he doesn't.
We need to delve into shells in the system, Ryan, and rip up that formation, didn't we? When he said Cameron Carter Vickers will play. So yeah, I think Ange gives you a straight answer when he feels the need to, doesn't he? In terms of if you're saying something emphatically and categorically, he doesn't shirk away from that. Sometimes he can be a wee bit coy and plays cards close to his chest, but I've always said, open them, listen to what he's saying, and then try and connect dots. He can be cryptic at times as well, Ryan, which I like about him. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. You can sometimes read between the lines with what he's saying as well. There's certain sayings that he'll say, and you'll be like, he's hinting towards something, or he's hinting towards something else. I think just by listening to him, you sort of gauge what he's saying or what he's trying to convey to the press. So it's up to what he says and how you interpret that.
It's about tuning in, isn't it, Sean?
Yep.
Always with him. He's always good value when he speaks, unless you get the mate part, of course, which is in a bad sense, because sometimes you can have good mates and bad mates, can't you, Sean?
Of course you can. Curtis says Ange will be full of riddles as usual when he's talking about who's available. Well, who knows then? I'll be sitting with my head melted later trying to do my predicted 11 if that's the case. But
well, that's no preparation for a night out, is it? I mean,
no,
come on. We want
you want your head melted at the end of the night out, not before
it. We want a straightforward kind of, and who's in, who's out, But I mean, yeah, I think we're laughing here, but we're laughing because Celtic have made it an enjoyable season. Put joy in your face, put laughter in your face. Scored a lot of goals. Goals bring joy, as the manager said. We always are confident that this team's got a goal or two or three or nine in them at some point this season. So you go into this Hampden game and it's always prefaced with, if they turn up and play, they win. Always prefaced by that. And I know it's an old cliche and it's an easy thing to say, but you kind of trust this team that if they do turn up and play, then they win, because they've got a vast array of talented players at their disposal, even the guys that are coming off the bench. I mean, Big O could have a say in this, like he did in the League Cup final when he came on. Celtic created a barrel of chances because he was able to hold the ball up and play guys in and stuff like that. So I don't rule out somebody like that, even a Bada coming off the bench to have a say. Haksabanovic too. He missed a sitter in the latter stages of the League Cup final. So there's a real abundance of flair players there, Sean.
Yeah, aye, and it's remember when we first started this, I kept going on about the squad depth being the problem, not the game plan and all that. A couple of transfer windows later, and nobody's got any sort of qualms whatsoever about the game plan, because they know that there's reinforcements there, and it's not just the 5 subs rule, it's the quality of the subs coming on. Everybody's got 5 subs. Celtic have got 5 quality subs and more, which is the difference. So it's all about that, and really it's been the case for a while that even if there are a couple of players out, or if you're specifically when we were debating Moy versus O'Reilly every other week for the selection, it's never meant to be one's worse than the other or one's better than the other. It was always, well, I'm actually quite happy if either of them start or both of them start a lot of the time. And we most often that's what we ended up saying. Like, I'll not usually it was some variation of, I'll not complain if X starts anyway, but I think it's going to be Y. So
Ryan, that's the harmony that the manager's created in the dressing room. You're not getting 20 minutes for the sake of it. You're coming on to make an impact. 20 minutes, half an hour. This guy's getting 60 minutes, but you're coming on. Be ready for that 30 minutes that you come on, and you influence this game when you come on. That's the mindset that he's drummed into the players. He says it as well. Doesn't have a perfect 11 in his head. He's got a starting 11 and a finishing 11, all that kind of stuff. And I think that makes everybody feel important, that they will make a valid contribution to the team. And regardless of how many minutes you get, you're getting minutes playing for Celtic. And Ange sort of says to him, how good does it get? You're playing first team minutes for Celtic, whether it's 15, whether it's 75, it doesn't matter. It's up to you to influence what happens when you come on and play to the best of your ability and bring your A game all the time. And that's another thing that I like, because all the players are bought into that, and they're desperate to make an impact whenever they come onto the field of play.
Yeah, you were saying that players have spoken about that. Even recently, Haksabanovic was saying that he was quite happy with his role at the moment, even just coming off the bench, because he knows that every time he gets that 25 minutes, half an hour, maybe even sometimes 10 minutes, it's an opportunity for him to stake his claim in the starting 11. The thing about Ange, which is great, is that he's on a level playing field with every player. He's on the same sort of level. Every player knows where they stand with him. They know that if they play well, if they do it in training, they will get their opportunity at some point. And that's just a great place to be for a professional. The squad harmony, I can't think of a better squad harmony in a Celtic team in all the years I've been following Celtic. It's really like no other under Ange, which is absolutely brilliant.
I think, Sean, you have a soft spot for Martin O'Neill's team, don't you? But I think when people talk about Ange Postecoglou, they automatically mention the likes of Steen. If you're older than myself, people are older than myself. I find that hard to believe it. There you go. But and then we talk about Martin O'Neill. We talk about Brendan Rodgers' team as well. But as team harmony goes, Sean, it's certainly up there, and we've spoken about it before that the trophy wins, the 2 league title wins, hopefully Celtic are on it, because we're winning the title, and the 2 League Cup wins, hopefully treble this season. They would be up there in terms of everybody's personal Celtic history. They'd have to be up there as either the most enjoyable if you're of a certain vintage, or just below certain things that have happened if you're older and have a greater memory and lifespan, and I've seen many other things like the Lions and stuff like that. But certainly this Celtic team has, under Ange, has carved its way, etched its way into the hearts and minds of every Celtic supporter from any generation.
Obviously, when it comes to personal choice, it is very literally personal choice. But the teams that stick out for me in my lifetime would be the Three Amigos, Martin O'Neill's team, the Strachan team that won 3 in a row, but specifically the 07-08 one, last 7 games, the Barry Robson, Paul Hartley one, the Hooper and Stokes Lennon team, or as I would like to call it, the Hooper, Stokes, Ledley, Azagiri Lennon team, and then the Invincibles, and then this one. Now, there's obviously variations of those on the road, but when you're talking about personal favourites, I just can't not pick Martin O'Neill's team. I just can't not pick them. Me, you, and Aidan kind of briefly spoke about who would get into what team and all that, and the Invincibles team versus the Martin O'Neill team and all that. And I was pretty unequivocal, much to Aidan's annoyance, that I don't think there would even be any. Maybe goalkeeper. And even then, I think Big Rab Douglas gets absolutely slandered. I don't think he was quite as bad as what people make out. But in fact, you had Neil Lennon talking the other day in his interview about the Vista game. Rab Douglas coming up trumps in that game. And I know he wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but I always quite like him. So personal preferences are personal preferences. But if they do go on and see like a historic 8th treble, then whether it's a personal preference or not, they're in that record book as the team that does. And that's the kind of one team chasing history, one team saving a season thing again.
I think, Ryan, it's because of where they came from. Because when Ange came in, Celtic were on the canvas, crestfallen, beaten, broken, or they thought they were. And this man came from the other side of the world, and he came himself, and everybody was like, oh goodness, But he has turned it around quick style, playing a brand of football that you just sort of thought, wow, this is good to watch. And when it clicks, it is exciting. It's a joy to watch. And you're seeing players now that you never thought, you never dreamt of seeing at the football club, and they're getting compared to people from the Lennon era, the Martin O'Neill era, that kind of thing, the Lions and all that. Possible hyperbole, but what football fans are like. I'm the eternal dreamer, so you never knock that. And the manager says that it's Celtic fans are allowed to dream and be optimistic. He's the realist amongst it, a bit detached from it, which I also quite like as well. But yeah, in any Celtic team, you're going to compare it to the past. It's in your DNA, part of your history. It's what makes your team what it is and that entity. But I think there's a lot of affection for this team right now, isn't there? Considering the base starting point, that's what I'm kind of talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. You think about where we were coming off of. Obviously, it was a terrible season, the 2021 season. We won't talk about that in any great depth. But even with the managerial sort of nightmare that was going on at that point with regards to getting a new manager in, this guy came from halfway across the world into the team. He got us playing this beautiful football. I mean, a lot of us hadn't heard of Ange Postecoglou. I do remember him as the Australia manager fleetingly, but most of the casual fans wouldn't really know who he is. So he came in, brought us this expansive style of play, brought us players that no one had heard of, but we knew about them really quickly. And now we're in this position where his teams are already getting compared to some of the great teams of the past. That's incredible. That in under 2 years, within 2 seasons, it's just an incredible job. I do have recency bias when it comes to talking about this Celtic team, but I would say this is my favourite Celtic team because I'm just enjoying every minute of this. It's brilliant.
And that's fair enough, Sean. You can't argue with that, can you?
No, you cannot. No. There's a few comments here. I think I've stirred the pot a wee bit by saying about the Vince versus the Thingy team. Charlie McGarvey says Bruni gets in either team anyway. Don't know about that when the midfield of the Seville team was Lambert, Lennon, Petrov, but
I think it's a whole other podcast that though, isn't it?
It is, and I'm sure it'll be one that you can do. But Patrick McLaughlin agrees with me. Martin O'Neill's team's still the best he's seen. Strang's laptop just says Rab Douglas versus Valencia. Say aye, fair enough. Aye, we'll not go down that road now because we've got a derby to preview. But yeah.
Speaking of derbies, guys, prediction time. Then, anybody want to put their head on the block?
I'll go first since it's my last one.
All right. Oh,
I'll go first since it's my last one. I've also, by the way, got a second wee teaser for you in a minute.
Oh, here we go. But
score prediction, I'm going to go out with a bang here, right?
All
because you know what? Who cares? You can't hold me accountable for it on Monday.
You're running away.
I'll go 4-1 Celtic.
4-1 Celtic. Okay, Ryan.
I'm going to go a wee bit more conservative and go 3-1 Celtic.
Just a wee bit more conservative. Now, Ryan, let me tell you the dilemma that Tony's currently facing at the moment. Because whenever I say 4-1 or 3-1, he goes 4-1 or 5-1. So he's now faced with the proposition of saying 5-1, knowing that he's got to come on here on Monday.
No, I to be fair, I was with Ryan on this one. I was going to say 3-1, the rip scoring, free scoring, never boring, leather belts. But there you go. So that's fair enough. But
Keimatsu in right away, going one more, 5-1.
5-1.
Aye. Okay. 420 somewhere, 2-0. Kevin Ferrier says 4-1 with me. Okay, cool, says 2-1. Kaiser says 6-1. You can always rely on Kaiser to go the one extra in it. Charlie McGarvey 2-0, Edward 3-1, Joseph McGonigal 3-1, Mark E 5-0. Nobody predicting a close fought draw penalties then from earlier on. Well, Jason Lee saying 2-1. It was him that said the penalties maybe earlier on. Paul Diet says 4-3 extra time, 3-1. But
right.
I don't know. I just think why not, Tony? You can't pull me up for it.
That's quite right. Now before we go, it's obviously your last day. Right, so
well, hold on. We'll do the teaser first. Then we'll do the teaser
then
before the tissues get broke out. Right, so the teaser's a simple one. It's the same as earlier on the week, except instead of goals, it's assists. Right. So since the season 2000-2001, 4 different Celtic players, 4 different players have got the most assists for Celtic in a single season more than once.
Oh.
4 different players have got the most assists for Celtic in a single season
2001?
more than once since the 2000-2001 season.
Petrov among that?
Nope.
McGeady?
06, 07, 07, 08, 09, 10. Yep.
Yeah, McGeady, aye. Right, I'm trying to think. Commons?
Nope.
Oh.
Right, Ryan, get a guess in. Come on, you.
Sinclair?
Chris Commons?
Nah, he said Commons. No, Sinclair, no. Sinclair, no.
Wow. I'm trying to think of the teams now.
Edward?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
Paul, the question was, since 2000-2001 season, 4 different players have got the most assists for Celtic in a single season more than once. And they've got Aidan McGeady, who done it in 06, 07, 07, 08 and 09, 10. A couple of people have said that one of the right answers in here.
Christie?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
Right, so would you like the seasons in which one of them done it?
Yeah, go on.
Right, one of them done it in all of 2000, 2001, 01, 02, 02, 03 and 03, 04.
Oh, wow.
I got it.
Nope. See, this is what I was hoping for with the top scorer one.
That's midfield.
Lubo?
No.
Lambert?
No.
Wow.
Alan Thompson?
No.
Don't
Don't just think suppliers, think finishers as well, is what I'd say for that one.
Sutton?
No.
Finishers?
Yep.
No other finisher would be round about then would be Hartson, Maloney.
No.
Larson?
Yep, Larson.
Larson
is top for goals and assists for 4 straight seasons.
Wow. There you go.
So 2 left, and obviously none of them on the level of Larson, but one of them I may have mentioned earlier on in this chat, and another one who still plays for the club.
Forrest, surely.
Forrest. James Forrest done it in 1819 and 1920. And the other one is the one,
Stokes?
Yes, Stokes. Aye, Tony Stokes done it in 10, 11, 13, 14 and 14, 15. Another underrated player, I would say.
Well, there you go.
The Larson one's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous.
It's meant to win it, aye, to be fair. There you go. Now, as I alluded to, your last day, my friend, eh?
Yep.
Dear, Ryan, eh? But there you go. We'll sail this ship alone, won't we, Ryan? We'll do it. There we go. But
that's it, absolutely.
I could wax lyrical about this chap all day long, twice on a Sunday. So I decided to wax lyrical. So forgive me, or forgive the worst poet in Scotland, McGonagall. So I was constructing this at 5 a.m. It's got the working title of A Note to Sean Martin, but because he loves the Beatles, I put it in brackets, The Ballad of Sean and Tony. All right. So here you go. All right.
Right, on you go.
Two jungle gyms thrown together, there was so much to do. To grow a subscription-based website, the original Rebels without a clue. My name is Sean Martin. I'm going to be your new boss. I'm a kind of resident Dean Martin. I'm Maverick. I don't give a toss. All those 9 a.m. WhatsApps, what will we talk about today? I know we'll engage the subscribers with the old-fashioned Q&A. With his depth charts and his power rankings, Sean studied the stats bomb app with glee, a consummate professional, while I'm still asking, what the F is this XG? A Rain Man a startle, or Sean loved a graphic, and all the time cracking his whip whilst directing social media traffic. The young Skywalker to my Yoda, we've both come very far. As we rode across the Celtic galaxy, it was clear who was the star. A perfectionist and diligent, his key was preparation, a daily editorial masterclass, a kind of brains behind the operation. Don't forget young Aidan McDonald, he's certainly nobody's fool. Newsflash, Aidan, it's 11s, not XIs. Sean, I blame the schools. Big interviews, features, opinions, columns, Celtic newsletters, and the odd tabula rasa, a daily shout out for our sponsors. But I'd like to think we both agree only one of us needs to contact Seneca. Every day the three amigos assembled, whatever the result, we never said never. The boss man trusted the postman because he'd always deliver. And every morning we checked the lie of the land and what Celtic news was going down. Then it was over to William Wordsworth here. I wander lonely as a clown. I hope we blazed our hoops website trail. We didn't measure ourselves by the rest. You can't compare us to the Rangers view because they're simply second best. There was never a dull moment, Sean, and some days were hysterical. In the immortal words of Big Vinnie Jones, Sean, it's been emotional. So I raise a glass to a highly talented man whose newsquest days are at an end. In a Columbo style, just one more thing. You never really were my boss. You were always my close friend. This chance coming together of two out-and-out Celtic men, thanks to Ange Postecoglou and Kyogo, Sean, we'll always have Hamden. Now 18 months have came and gone. A fantastic back catalogue is on display. We did it with humility, humour, pride and passion for our club. There's not much left to say, but we did it both together, Sean. We did it the Celtic way. All right, Phil.
You know, that's the first time I've ever applauded on this, despite all the times you've applauded people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I've actually prepared something for this part as well, lads.
I knew you would.
So, and now the end is near, and so I faced it. Oh, wait, no, that's my karaoke lyrics for later. Nah, listen, I'm not one for making things all about me, and I don't want to hear either. But I do want to say that the messages I've had over the past couple of days, and again today, and all the comments, and I can see them all coming in there, and as well as Tony's brilliant poem there, have genuinely touched me, and it's reinforced the kind of community that we've managed to build on here, which is fundamentally down to all you choosing to watch it first and foremost. And I appreciate every last one of the comments, even Charlie's the other day that was slightly menacing. We know where you live and all that one, right? But most of all, though, and I want to add that I appreciate yourself, Tony. As I said yesterday, being on video was the one thing I wasn't sure about with this job. It's not my forte at all, but the camaraderie that we've made has made it not just tolerable but enjoyable. And out with the videos, whether before I was made editor or after, we've got on like a house on fire as colleagues, and absolutely chuffed that now I'm leaving. It's not to be an ex-colleague, just a pair of mates.
Correct.
And Ryan, apologies, I've not got anything prepared for you because I've only known you for 2 minutes, but but you see what a sound guy we want, so.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, I mean, as I said, that I think I said it all in verse there, but I think highly of you. You know my thoughts. I've spoken to you in private messages as well, and I wish you every success. I wish you and your family all the best for the future. We'll see you moving forward. What is it they say, Ryan? Don't become a stranger and all that. We'll keep the group chat going. All right, bud. But it's been a pleasure. All right, every minute of it. I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
Of course I have.
So, ladies and gentlemen, on that emotional bombshell note, we shall take our leave. But there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Today, it's Sean's last day. We are going to sign off in a fine style and have a couple of refreshments somewhere later on this evening. But hey, indeed, thank you for everything. I think Sean's living proof that, and I'm proof he'll tell you that you can teach an old dog new tricks, can't you? I used to get him tearing his hair out of my lack of tech, but we got there in the end, Ryan. He taught me a lot. I learned a lot from him. So you're never too young to learn in any walk of life, in any profession. So and I was the great thing was I was open to that. So all good. I got there in the end, didn't I, Sean?
You did, aye. You very much did, aye.
Aye. Yes. So if you enjoyed today, then why not join more days like this? You'll see a lot more of Ryan McGinlay coming up in the future. We can enjoy that. But I'll ask you, subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality football journalism covering the club you love. Visit www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And we also say thank you to SENECA. The Celtic Way morning briefing is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. That's all that's left to say is sayonara, Sean. And one more time, Ryan, give it up for the boss man, Sean Martin. Sean, thanks for everything. Absolute star.
Cheers, Tony.
Thank you very much.
Ryan, cheers for that. And thanks, everybody, for contributing today. And thanks for your messages. Sean will read them all. All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tony.